So we will be starting with this topic, pattern variables. But before that, I will once again explain that what we have discussed yesterday. I was not able to write it yesterday. So see, what we were talking about is social action, right? So what we discussed in social action, we know when we discussed about Weber, in Weber, we have seen any act is social, condition, there should be orientation, and there should be attachment of meaning, right? So this is what we have discussed under Weber. Any act is conscious, provided it should be oriented towards others, and there should be some meanings attached by the actor to the action. And what are the ideal types we have seen? We have discussed about traditional action, affective action, word rational action, and then Zweck rational action. So that is what we have done under Weber. Now we are discussing under Parsons social action. So first of all, they will obviously ask you how Parsons modified over Weber, right? So what are the areas that you can look into? First area, so when you're writing the answer, you can write it in 3 dimensions. First one, this definition of Weber, how Parsons modified, or what are the changes in the definition? Any act, a social action, right? Any act consciously performed, a social action, provided some conditions. What are the 4 conditions, guys? What are the conditions? It should be in a social situation, correct? And then there should be a goal behind the action, common goal, and then there should be investment of energy, right? Goal, motivation, all are same. Not investment. Investment means what? Investment of energy, right? That is a biological aspect, right? And then one more, what is that? Norms and values of society. So I have given you the example of this class itself. So why we can consider it as a social action? Because it is in a social situation, right? And then there is common goal, right? And then there is investment of energy. We follow the norms and values. So you can see here, there's a small modification in the definition. So this is how you will write first paragraph, right? How Parsons modified over Weber. And then what you guys will do, this ideal types, how Parsons modified over Weber in the ideal types, instead of traditional action and word rational action, both of them put together, he's talking about moral action, right? Belief and emotion is coming under moral action. He said there is no need to make it into 2. It can be explained or expressed in this itself. Instead of affective action, what is that? Expressive, right? Expressive action. And Zweck rational action for Parsons is instrumental action, right? So these are the 3 ideal types of Weber. So you guys, I hope you understood this is one way in which you can, first point is with respect to definition. Second point is with respect to the ideal types. But what is that most important one, guys? You need to draw this diagram and you need to explain. Actor, like you, are always goal seeking, right? Now what is your goal? You want to become an IAS officer. Once you become IAS officer, you want to go for marriage, right? Then you need to have a kid, and then their education and making money, and all these things is unlimited goal, unlimited needs and requirements are there, right? So yeah, now to achieve this goal, for each goal you have different means available, right? Mean 1, mean 2, right? Like option 1, guys, what do you mean by these options? That means these are the actions you can do. Either you will go with this action by choosing those means, or you take this action, right? Or you take this action, or you take this action. Like this, you have n number of actions to perform, right? It could be this mn. So many means are available to you. Now you will choose one among this. You will choose, let's say, this one. On the basis of what? On the basis of one internal aspect, that is your own motivation, which is internal, right? This is what Parsons calls as motivational orientation. Also, you will listen to the societal norms. That is what? Values, right? So this is the external influence, like Durkheim, right? This is where you will be seeing the dimension of Durkheim, social facts, macro realities, and all those things. And what is this? This is what value orientation. Okay, so values which are external, your motivation, this is internal. So any action you take depends on what? Either value orientation, the values of society, or motivational orientation, or the combination of both. So in a modern society, tell me guys, which one will be more dominant? Modern society. Which one will be more dominant? Motivational orientation is more dominant. Your own motivation is what more important when it comes to modern society. Traditional society, what Durkheim says, what is that word? Mechanical solidarity, collective conscience. So value orientation is more important, right? So in traditional society, which is based on mechanical solidarity, value orientation is more important. When it comes to modern society, which is based on organic solidarity, where motivational orientation is what more important, right? So if you see societies like USA, right, very modern society, motivation is important, right? This is what you call as achievement oriented society. Then there are traditional society like India, like before 50 years and all. If you see, very traditional, right? That is what you call as ascription oriented society. Values and norms and society is considered more important. Okay, so in modern society, motivation, traditional society, values of society is more important. What about societies in transition? That is where you will face the problem. But understand this, guys, one point, even if you're talking about a modern society, it is not necessary 100% only your motivation, right? It is not 100% your motivation. Even though you are living in a modern society, there will be some influence of family will come, some influence of peer group and friends and society may come. So we can't say it is 100%. Nothing is 100%, especially in social science, right? It could be like this 90-10. You can say 10% influence maybe from outside, or 80-20. So what we need to see is the degree. The degree will be different in different societies with respect to motivational orientation and value orientation. The way your action is decided is on the basis of two. Actually, this one, external reality or external influence, value orientation, and then internal aspect, that is the motivational orientation. And this degree, the way you are choosing this value orientation and motivational orientation vary in different society in degrees. In a more modern society, it will be like 90-10. Somewhat less modern, it may be 80-20, 70-30. Guys, you don't want to write about these percentages and all just to make you understand. I'm telling. And the reverse will come in a more traditional society. There are no traditional society, or there are no society which is completely, based on values. Some motivation of individual is always important, right? Without you having any motivation, you will not be able to do anything. So I can say here 90% will be influence of society, 10 will be your motivation, or it could be 80-20, or it could be 70-30. Correct? So you can see here the degree varies, right, in traditional society as well as in modern society. So you can see here more of motivation, here more of values. But again, these societies, like when 60-40 or 60-40 comes like this, or 50-50, these societies will face problem. Why? Because you don't know clearly where to go, whether to go with society or what society say, or whether to go with my own motivation, because it is not completely defined. Guys, just remember this word role, very important in Parsons writing. So actor will always take the action based on two aspects. What are they? Now there is no confusion. It is based on motivational orientation and value orientation, correct? And the degree may vary based on the society. So in which society you are living in which situation you are living in, based on that you will take decision. So it will be distinct combinations of motivational orientation and value orientation. The degree may change. This much is understood. The way you are taking action, it will be either more inclined to your motivation and less to society, or it will be more inclined to society, less to your motivation, or it will be like in between. You don't know what to choose. So if you see modern societies, your role is defined very clearly. Okay, so in traditional societies also your role is defined very clearly. Like the example that I've given to you yesterday, that you are going for an interview, you saw a person met with an accident, what you are going to do in that situation. If it is in US society, you know what is the role. You'll go for the interview because you know there are mechanisms and system to take care of that, and it is not your job to do that. In traditional society, you know what to do. It is your job to help because you are living in a society which is mechanical solidarity based, and collective conscience is very important. So there is no confusion. As soon as you see this, you will do that action because you know what to do. The role is defined. Yes or no? Role is defined. But society is in transition where some traditionalism is there, some element of modernity is also there. Like India, we will face dilemma. Okay, we don't know which action to take in this situation, whether to go with your own motivation or to go with the values of society. Now you are in confusion. You are facing dilemma. You got me? So why individual face dilemma? Guys, can you type me in which kind of society individual face dilemma? Is it in modern society? Will the individual face dilemma in modern society? No. Why? Your role expectation is very clear. Role is defined. Is he face dilemma in traditional society? Traditional society, will you face dilemma? No. Your role. See this word role. Role definition. Role is defined. Role is expected. Role expectation is very clear in these two. Which society will face dilemma then? Society is in transition. Why you are facing dilemma? Because you don't know clearly whether to take an action based on motivation or values of society. You got this much? Right? So this is the reason for dilemma. Role conflict and all that is not required at this point of time. Okay, that is actually a different aspect of debate. So here, the role expectation is not clearly defined. Which society? Transitional society. Which society it is defined? Modern and traditional. Modern society, you know what to do. Role expectation is clear. Role defined clearly. Traditional and modern, it is done. No problem. Society is in transition. You will face the confusion, dilemma. Whether to go to help that person, your mind says to help that person, right? On the other side, your mind also says if you go to help that person, you will be missing the interview, and then you will lose your life, right? Your future is what you're spoiling. You may help that person to save his life, but you will spoil your future, and then that is connected with your family and your relatives and everything, right? So that is a no. In traditional society, some degree is there means this 10% and all you will not give importance, right? 90%. So there is no need to have much dilemma, and it is also based on collective conscience, mechanical solidarity. So the role is clearly defined. Third aspect means I'm talking about the societies in transition. Societies like India, you will face dilemma. Why you face dilemma? Because your actions are based on two components: motivational orientation and value orientation. So your action will be based on any of this or combination of this. Maximum, it will be combination. Traditional society, value will be more important. Modern society, motivation is more important. Transitional society, both are coming to the mind of the individual. I have to help that person, at the same time I have to attend the interview also. Now I will be doing what? Dilemma. This question is what they have asked in ethics also, that you need to answer in a different perspective. You have to talk about different dimensions. Deontological thoughts you need to write, right? And then utilitarian thought you need to write. Head on is different ethical thoughts and dimensions you need to bring in there. That is a different question, guys. I'm just giving that as an example here. This is not the answer for that. This you don't want to write, this dilemma or anything you don't want to write. This is not the theory for that. Parsons' theory is not ethical theories, right? It's not that unethical theories also. It is not what you can use in ethics paper. That is different. So I hope you understood, right? Now these dilemma is what Parson call as pattern variables. There are different sets of dilemma, different patterns you can see. And these patterns is what he understood as pattern variables. So what is pattern variable? In one word, if you need to tell, what is pattern variables? One word. Dilemma. That's it. That's it. So different patterns of these dilemmas. While performing action, individual face dilemma. Different combinations and different patterns of these dilemmas is what pattern variables. Why you face dilemma? That is clear. Because of your selection towards motivational and value orientation. So guys, this much is clear. So even if the question is about pattern variable, you need to draw that diagram. I have not given that diagram in the PDF, but you should be doing it from your side, right? Because everything is connected. It is not possible for me, and it is not desirable also to give the same diagram in this also. But if the question is asked about pattern variable, first you talk about that action, you talk about motivational orientation, value orientation, goal, dilemma, and then come to this, and we will be discussing different types of dilemmas. So that is what we are going to discuss today. Okay, let's look into this now. Actions never occur in isolation, but in constellation. Guys, what does this mean? You are doing an action. It is not in isolation. It will be always in constellation. Which diagram I was drawing here, Archana? I've drawn diagram X, and will I be talking about Y or Z here? Does that make any sense when I'm drawing this and talking about this? Then why are you asking that question? The only diagram which I have drawn here is that one, right? Which I have drawn yesterday also, shown yesterday. So actions never occur in isolation, but in constellation. What does that mean? I do an action. Okay. It will not be like ending here itself, right? It will be followed by constellation of action. Like I'm doing something and you're replying to that. Again, I'm doing an action. You will be replying to that. So this is a collection of action. That is what constellation of action. So none of the actions, because you see the definition itself, it should be in a social situation, and there is a goal and all those things. So automatically it cannot be an isolated action. It will be followed by actions, constellation of action. That is what action system. I'll come to this again. Okay, that is another theory. This is what Parsons terms as action system. In society, the system of action generally exists in the form of roles performed by an individual. So what does actually your action is? What is your action? Your action is simply this, the roles that you're doing in order to achieve goal. Guys, what is the role that you are doing now? You are a student. That is your role now, right? So that is what you need to do to achieve that goal. So everybody will have a role, yeah, to get the goal. Okay. So as a system of action in order to achieve certain goals, right? Role is a vital link between individual and society, right? Because of your role as a student, we both are linked. So individual is connected with society, and because of my role as a teacher, we both are connected. So this is how we are connected with society. Correct? So role is the link between individual and society. While performing these roles, actor may face dilemma. Why actor face dilemma? Because roles are nothing but action. Actions are based on two components, value and motivation. So while performing action, you will stuck between these two. Correct? These dilemmas are the result of your decision, actor's decision, with respect to the choice of motivational and value orientation. Guys, this much is clear for all of you. What is dilemma? What is role? What is motivational orientation? What is value orientation? What is that dilemma, the discrepancy, and everything? If that is clear, then things are easy. In every society, there exist patterns which are distinct combination of these orientations. So there are some, you can see some patterns in this dilemma. And this pattern is what you consider as pattern variables. But different patterns are sometimes conflicting, resulting in dilemmas, and Parsons called this as pattern variable. So what is pattern variable? It is nothing but dilemmas. Thus, individual faces dilemma with respect to the choice of pattern. Every society resolve this dilemma by defining role expectation. So what is the way in which you can resolve dilemma? Role expectation or defining the role. So role is defined in modern society, role is defined in traditional society. But which society you face problem? Transitional society. But in certain societies which are transitional in nature, okay, role expectations are not properly institutionalized. Guys, this much is clear? What is role expectation? What is this society and all about? Okay. So for example, the example is there. The dilemmas are least in traditional and modern society. You know the reason, right? Because here, value orientation is more. Modern society, which orientation is more? Modern society, motivational orientation is more. Okay. So, yeah. So there is no dilemma here, and maximum in those society which are making transition from tradition to modern. Parsons mentioned 5 different types of pattern. That is what 5 pattern variables or dilemmas faced by individuals in society. The pattern variables has to be presented in a dichotomous manner. Guys, dichotomous manner means in terms of opposites, polar opposites like black, white, day, night, right? Rich, poor, black, white, and all. This is what you mean by dichotomous manner. So you will explain in terms of the polar opposites. The pattern variables has been presented in a dichotomous manner, which each one of which represent polar extremes. In actual society, these polar extremes exist in the form of continuum. The pattern variables are, I hope you understood what is dichotomous manner. When I say traditional modern, that is dichotomy, opposites. Okay. When I say continuum means it's like this. It should be, right, this is traditional and this is modern. So guys, this word you will see again and again later also in sociology. Continuum means you cannot define any society as completely traditional, right? Just before I've told you, it may be close to traditional, it may come here, right? Similarly, this is what in polity also, if you have seen this constitutionalism. What is constitutionalism? If you have seen, like even if you're talking rule of law, whatever it is, if you're talking about US society, it is close to 100% constitutional, right? And societies like Korea, Pakistan and all, like close to 0%. Where India will stand, India will come around 56, that range. Like we are evolving, right? Not like US, at the same time, we are not least as Pakistan or Korea, right? Correct? So what do you mean by continuum? Continuum means something you cannot explain in terms of extremes. What you do, you use this continuum to explain. So there are no society which are completely modern. So even if you take US, it may come here. There are no society which is completely traditional. It may come close to that. Tribal society also. There are some societies which are making transition coming here, like societies like India and all will either maybe here or maybe here, maybe 60% modern, close to modern. Some societies 40% modern, that means close to traditional. You got me? So this is what you mean by continuum. Okay. Now these are the pattern variables. You have nothing to do with this. This you need to mug it up just like this. Very easy. Okay, and then they used to ask this as a 10 marker. Must attempt question. As soon as you see this question, jump onto it. Whether it is 10 marker or 20 marker, the content which you have, it is well prepared and it's the best content that you can see. Okay, if you want, you can add more also, but there is no way in which you can add more into this. I've told you always, right? It is like 250 words is what you need, and this is well prepared 300 words. And if it is 150 words, then it is very difficult for you to get it also from this. So guys, this one, ascription versus achievement. So why dichotomous manner? Traditional, modern. That is dichotomous. Similarly, traditional society is based on ascribed status. Modern society is based on achievement status, achievement based. You become an IAS, IPS officer, then you will get that mobility. In modern society, you will be treated good. That is achievement oriented. Your success will be seen in that way. But in a traditional society, you born as a son of a Brahmin, then automatically you will be respected, right? That is what ascribed status. So in traditional society, ascribed status is important. Modern society, achievement is more important. Okay, diffuseness, specificity, affectivity, affective neutrality. Diffuseness, specificity means traditional society, you will see it is basically in terms of, you can explain in terms of relations between people, relationship. See, in traditional society, it is diffused, right? It's like whether it is a teacher-student relation, it is diffused, and you will talk everything to the teacher, and then teacher will offer solutions and all those things. Specificity, modern society, commercialization of education, you are very specific, whether the teacher or the student, very specific, and not even having time or anything. Forget about this example. You talk about a shopkeeper, right? Let's suppose you live in a village, okay, and you used to visit this shop near to your village or in your village, and this guy will keep on asking you many things, right? If you are living in hostel or some other place, then you come back and then go to that shop, he keep on asking you so much of things. Where were you, what were you doing, how was your studies, and all those, right? He's not only giving you what you're asking, right? It is not only that shopkeeper you relation, it is a more of a diffused relation. Can you see that in modern society? You go to a Reliance mall, or or margin free shop, will you see that kind of relation? No. You go, ask something, get it done. That is what specificity. This is the best example to explain, guys. So whether the relation is diffused or it is very specific based on the goal and the means. Like this relation is very specific, right? We are here for studying sociology, so that's a very specific. This is what in modern society, but that is not the case if you go for a Gurukul system and all. That will not be the case. It will be completely informal, but here it is more of formal. It is very specific, right? We are having a common goal, so the relation is very specific to that. But if you see Gurukuls and all the system, that's not the case. Correct? Affectivity, affective neutrality. Affectivity is more when it comes to traditional society. Modern society, it is affectively neutral, right? The affections and everything is neutral. The goal is what actually more important. Even this you can see from the doctor-patient relations. What kind of relation is actually required when it comes to doctor-patient? It has to be affective neutral, right? Why? Otherwise, he cannot treat the patient. Particularism, universalism, like whether it is universal values or particular values. You see, one example, caste values are particularistic values. Constitutional values, what is that? Universal values. So which type of values are followed in which kind of society? Traditional society, which is based on, you can say, particularistic values based on collective conscience, norms and values of society. Universalism, more of objective. In modern society, rule of law, right? All those things. Collective orientation, self-orientation. This is with respect to your action, whether it is oriented towards the society or the collectivity, or is it oriented towards you, right? Is it your own motivation? So let's see the description of this. Guys, you just need to reproduce the same content, nothing else need to be done, and you will be getting very good mark if you can reproduce the same thing. Nothing else is required to be added. Particularism, you can talk about the particularism is in terms of values. The kind of value, the patriarchal value, what is that? That's a particular value, right? But universalism, everybody is considered equal. Equality, when I say equality, that is universal value. So modern society will be based on universal values. Traditional society will be based on parochial, particular value, like caste values. Okay. No, affective neutrality, I gave an example. It is not that doctors are affective in traditional society. Maybe just to make you understand what you mean by affectively neutral, I gave that doctor-patient relation. When I say affective neutral, I gave that example. It's not that doctors are, maybe, I don't know, even this kind of setups and may not be there, no? Ascription versus achievement. It refers to actors' judgment of others in a situation. Either the judgment can be done in terms of ascriptive attributes or on the basis of achievement of a person. That example which I have given to you guys already, that accident example, right? In a traditional society, which is based on ascriptive attributes, you are ready to help that person. But a modern society, which is based on achievement, your achievement is important. You helping this person means you are gone. So your motivation is important here. So achievement oriented society, more of a modern society, ascriptive society, traditional society. But guys, can I say in modern society it is completely achievement oriented? No, right? Some kind of emotions and feelings and this thing will come, right? You may think of helping that person. So that is what I'm saying. There are no society which is completely ascription oriented. There are no society which is completely achievement oriented. Or in other words, there are no society which is completely traditional, or there are no society which is completely modern. Okay, guys, these are the points which is going to fetch you mark rather than, it is there, it is anyway coming in this also, write up also. But this is the way you need to, the way I'm explaining to you, if you can explain in the same way, in the same tone to the examiner, then things are done, right? Just mimic it. There is nothing difficult in this also, Parson also. Next is diffuseness versus specificity. It refers to the dilemmas regarding range of demands from a particular relationship. It also involves the nature of obligation generated in the interaction process. It can be either specific, taking into consideration the goal, or it can be diffused, widening its range irrespective of the goal. So you go into a shop, what is your goal? To get something. It can be specific with respect to that, or it can be diffused also. Okay. Affectivity versus affective neutrality. It refers to the amount of emotions considered appropriate in an interaction process. Neutrality denotes least emotions and affectivity the most. Right? So in modern society, it is mostly affectively neutral. We all are. It doesn't matter if something happened to someone, right? We may come to know about that, our friends, and then next day onwards, we forget and we'll be back to normal life, right? But that's not the case with traditional society. The amount of emotions are more in traditional society and less in modern society. Doctor-patient relationship is an example for affective neutrality. Particularism, universalism, it refers to the standard of values used in an evaluation, in any evaluation in an interaction process, right? Particularism refers to taking into consideration the traditional beliefs, and universalism refers to modern and rational value system. Right? So example, caste values are particularistics, that is based on traditional beliefs, whereas constitutional values are based on universalism, that is based on rational system, right? Rule of law, equality before law, and all those things. Collective orientation versus self-orientation. It refers to orientation of an actor with respect to his own self-interest or collective obligation. His own self-interest, you are doing something for your interest, that is what self-orientation in modern society, or collective orientation for the society in traditional society. It manifests itself in whether the individual action is oriented towards the larger group or not. This is an example of collective orientation, right? You are preparing for this exam. What is that? Is it for society or is it for you? Don't tell me. It's for society. Okay. Don't even tell me mutual also. You can tell that in interview board. Okay. So guys, now this paragraph last, this one is very important. According to Parsons, traditional society has a specific set of preferences for patterns like ascription, diffuseness, particularism, affectivity, collective orientation. So just look into this. This is what you will see in traditional society. So traditional society is based on ascription, diffuseness, affectivity, particularism, collective orientation. Modern society is based on this. But one line that you need to write is, there are no society which are completely traditional or completely modern. Or there are no society which are going to be completely achievement oriented or ascription oriented. The degree may vary, depends on society. Guys, will you be able to write this much? Is there anything complicated in what I've just told you now? It's simple common sense also, right? There are no society which is completely modern or traditional. What is there in that? That is your conclusion. Similarly, there are no society which is completely based on achievement or ascription. Simple. Don't make it complex. I always tell you guys, simple things work. So keep on reading the same things again and again. Do the same process. It will work. And it should be there in your mind. Mnemonics, if you need to, that is an extra effort to remember the mnemonics. I find it very difficult to do that. Okay, so on the other hand, in modern society, the preferences are like this. These patterns are again in the form of ideal types, and the pure form may or may not exist. For example, it is almost impossible to find a modern society which is purely based on achievement, and it is difficult to find traditional society which is purely based on ascription, right? Thus, this dichotomy of pattern variables must be seen in a continuum. Okay, guys, that's it. That's very simple. So what is this pattern variables ultimately? Simple things will work. Simple things. You don't want to impress anyone. You're not going to marry anyone, right? You just need to score good and you will get it. This is going to be very simple and make it very simple. If you want to make it if you want to make it complicated, you see the answers which I've shared with you yesterday. We have made it very simple, and I've added some other answer. You can see how in different way you can put the same points, right? But it is very difficult even for you to understand at some point of time. But you guys are repeatedly doing something, repeatedly reading this, it will be there in that muscle memory. Automatically, when you see questions connected to that, these things will come, and you will be able to write something which you have learned. From there, you can take here and you can write examples, and things will get easier. That's where that's what you actually need to do, right? Something which you have learned, and if you can write that in some other question as an example or as a different point, that is going to be really good. Okay, now tomorrow I'll be dealing with social system, but before that I'll just mention about this action system. What you guys need to do is, before tomorrow's session, you have to watch that. It's a must watch that video, because that is the so-called difficult theory. I don't know whether it will be difficult for you once we have done. I'll try to make it very simple. Okay, but you have to watch that. Hardly you need to spend 1 hour, guys. And then if you're sitting, that will be more productive and you will be understanding things, and then you're not going to face any problem. Yeah, it's people say it is difficult. I don't say it is difficult. That's why I'm saying that. No, people say it is difficult. Yeah. Okay. So do that. Watch that video, social system, and then we'll see. Now, I have never said anything difficult except in this Parson. Everything else is simple. Everything where we have faced any problem, even in Parson also, we have already done, and only one more part is left out. That is social system. So far, so good with Parson. Easy concept, right? Social action, we have done. It's a very beautiful concept, and the diagram and everything, right? And then pattern variable is also done. Now social system. So entire sociology, I will be saying only this part is difficult. That is because people say it is difficult. I'm not saying that it is difficult. Okay, so let's look into this. Action does not occur in isolation, but in constellation. That we have discussed already. Parson called this as action system. At this level, Parson conceptualizes the social, physical, mental realities as constituting different parts. So guys, for actions, there are different parts. Not for action, for system. Action system is also a system which is having different parts. For example, you have a computer, right? Which is what you call as a system. Is it a system or not? Even you call it as a system only, right? Fan is a system. AC is a system. Computer, you call it as a system itself. Do they have parts? Yes. Similarly, action system also have parts. Your body, it's like a system which is having parts, right? Similarly, action system also have parts which is having social, physical, mental aspects also. That is what Parsons says. Okay. In this context, each part is seen as taking an action, thus forming an action system. So guys, our body also different parts taking action, right? Computer also different parts and they perform different actions. Similarly, action system based on certain parts which all perform certain actions. Thus, in the case of social system, action is taken by individual, whereas in case of other system, actions are performed by parts. This theory I'll be discussing tomorrow. So social system means simply you take it as society. As of now, you take it as society. Or this class is an example of social system. You'll come to know why tomorrow. So who are performing the action in social system? In class, individuals, right? In society, individuals. That's what Parson also says. There is nothing difficult in that. So in case of social system, individuals are performing the action. In case of other systems, like computer, it will be hard disk, it will be the motherboard, right? It will be other parts, right? It is done by parts. Parson mentioned 4 types of action systems: cultural system, social system, personality system, organismic system. So 4 action systems. According to him, every system constitute these 4 dimensions. Any system constitute these 4 dimensions. When I say cultural system, it is complex of norms and values. It is nothing but norms and values. That is what cultural system. Social system is the interaction, right? And the personality system is the internal aspect. Internal aspect means the mental aspect and all those things, right? So this is the internal aspect. Organismic system means the external aspect. So the physical aspect or the external aspect. So he defined these 4 aspects of any action system. There will be norms and values. There will be, interaction between the parts, because parts are performing action. There should be interaction, and there are some internal aspects. There are some external aspects. Even if you take the computer or a fan, what are the external aspects? These hardwares and everything, right? The monitor, the CPU, the hard disk, and all these are external aspects. That is what organismic system in the computer. Personality system, internal aspect, the programmings and the connections and everything, right? Interaction, how it is connected, right? All these graphics card and all these things are connected. How is it connected? And then there are some rules and programming and everything, right? So this is how every system can be seen. For example, if you take society, tell me, in case of society, what is cultural system? Norms and values. We have norms and values. What is social system? Interaction not between parts. In case of society, interaction between individual. Personality system, it is the appropriate mental situation of the individual who are involved in the process. Organismic system, it is nothing but the individuals, correct? So if I'm taking society, which is nothing but social system, what are these 4? Guys, don't worry for today. Tomorrow we will be elaborating on this, and then you will get to know more. But before that, you have to watch that video, okay? Otherwise, there's going to be slightly a problem. And if you need to understand it, you need to understand it here. You go and read something, you're not going to get anything. Okay? So I'm repeating it again. If you consider society, what is the cultural system? It's the norms and values of society. What is the organismic system? What do you mean by the parts in society performing action? Individuals, right? And then personality system, it is a mindset and mental aspect of individual. What is the social system? Interaction between individual, which is what I have written here. In case of society, organismic system, this one, external, the parts is individual who are performing the action. Cultural system is the normative structure, means norms and values. Social system, individuals interaction. Personality system, the mental status. So you consider this class here. What is the cultural system in this class? The rules, the norms and values, right? What is the social system? Interaction between all of us. What is the personality system? The mental status of all of us who are involved in this process. organismic system, we all are individuals who are performing the action. This is just a prerequisite for doing that theory for tomorrow. Just read this, understand it, and tomorrow we'll be discussing the so-called abstract theory, grand theory, right? Multidisciplinary framework and everything. Okay, that's it, guys. Any doubt?